On the night of January 31, 2026, 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was last seen standing at the front door of the Tucson home where she had lived for more than 5 decades. By the next morning, she was gone. Her disappearance would quickly become national news, not only because of the alarming circumstances, but because her daughter is Savannah Guthrie, longtime co-anchor of Today. Nancy had built her entire adult life in that burnt adobe house in the Catalina foothills. She raised 3 children there and remained after her husband's sudden death in 1987. Even at 84, she was deeply rooted in her routine. She rarely missed Sunday service at her church, so when she did not appear on the morning of February 1st, concern grew quickly. Family members went to check on her and found something deeply troubling. Nancy was nowhere to be found, but her car remained in the driveway. Her wallet, phone, and daily medications were still inside. For a woman with limited mobility and a heart condition requiring a pacemaker, leaving without those essentials made no sense. Authorities were called, and deputies from the Pima County Sheriff's Department quickly determined this was not a typical missing persons case. The home was treated as a crime scene. Surveillance footage from a doorbell camera revealed a masked individual approaching the house late that night. The image was grainy but clear enough to confirm that an unknown person had been there. Investigators believed Nancy had likely been taken against her will. The FBI joined the case, launching an extensive search that included drones, K-9 units, and volunteers combing nearby desert terrain. Despite widespread efforts, no trace of Nancy was found. Meanwhile, public attention intensified as Savannah Guthrie returned to Tucson and addressed the media, not as a journalist, but as a daughter. Then came a chilling development. Local journalists received emails from someone claiming knowledge of Nancy's disappearance. The messages included specific details that had not been publicly released, suggesting the sender had inside information. Soon after, a ransom demand followed, $6 million in Bitcoin, with a deadline of February 9. The demand was carefully constructed and routed through encrypted servers, making it difficult to trace. Savannah, standing beside her siblings, released a video plea directed at the kidnapper. Fighting back emotion, she described her mother's fragile health and urgent need for medication. She promised the family would pay and begged for her safe return. The video spread rapidly across social media, drawing national sympathy and support. Investigators worked around the clock, analyzing the ransom communications and following up on thousands of tips after the surveillance footage was released. Many leads proved unreliable, and some were outright hoaxes. At one point, a delivery driver was detained and questioned, but he was later released without charges. Authorities confirmed he was not considered a suspect. As the February 9 deadline passed, no further communication came from the kidnappers. The family had raised the ransom money and prepared to comply, but instructions never arrived. The silence deepened fears about Nancy's fate. In Tucson, neighbors tied yellow ribbons around trees and mailboxes as symbols of hope. Vigils were held at her church, and supporters across the country shared messages of solidarity. Still, weeks after her disappearance, there were no clear answers. What began as a quiet Sunday absence had become a haunting mystery. Despite national attention, law enforcement resources, and a family's public plea, Nancy Guthrie remained missing, leaving her loved ones suspended between hope and heartbreak, waiting for news that had yet to come.